Hi friends. So in today's video we are going to discuss about Federer's biggest weakness. Now Federer, as we all know, is the one of the probable greatest of all time. So I think don't get me wrong when I say Federer's biggest weakness. So many a times it's not dependent on him. Maybe the opponent is playing well, and maybe he's having a sort of an unlucky day or unlucky point. So as we all know, a few points can change the direction of a match and the result of a match, especially when the match is between Federer and Nadal and Djokovic. So I think only some points decide the outcome. But here in this video, we are going to talk about a few instances where it is quite clear that this is definitely one of the things, one of the concerns for Federer when he's playing big matches, and that is to close out the sets or even the matches uh, in the important championships like the Grand Slams as well as the Masters 1000s. So in this video we'll show a few examples. Now if it was like once or twice, we could have understood that maybe that day Federer was not playing well, or maybe he panicked and the opponent maybe hit a few winners and suddenly got into form. But because this has happened in course of Federer's career a lot of times over the years, like all the way starting from 2005 and even till the last year 2019. So I think it definitely shows that there is some doubt in Federer's mind when he's trying to close out important matches, and that has actually cost him a lot of Grand Slams. Maybe he would have won like 25 Grand Slams till now, but that's not the case because of those few points. And let's just discuss some of the examples. The first example that we have is from 2005 Shanghai Masters Cup, which is the sort of the ATP Finals right now, uh, and it's held in England right now, but previously it was held in Shanghai. So you can see it's a five-setter. Now, the interesting match, this is a pretty interesting match because Federer was injured before this tournament and he just got back, and he was not expecting much from this tournament really because he was still recovering from the leg injury, and he started off well in this tournament and he played very well. He also beat Nalbandian before this match, so this is the final. Now you guys might know that in the finals of the ATP tournament we have a round robin format, so you have to play like the same opponent twice, and even if you lose a match, it's not the end. So you can still reach the semifinals and then the finals. So in this match, this is the final, of course, the five-setter match. So in this match, Federer started off very well, getting the first two sets, and then suddenly Nalbandian got into form. Nalbandian was moving well, and then even in the fifth set, Nalbandian was up 4 games to love against Federer, and Federer was looking down and out, but somehow he started finding his range towards the tail end of the match, and he got back to 4 all, and then the match continued on serve, and then at 5 all Federer was able to get a break and he was leading 6-5, and here you can see on the scoreboard it's 6-5, 30 love. Federer is cruising towards victory, is on serve, just 2 points away, but most of you, if you see the scoreline, you would think that Federer would have been able to close the match because he was in his prime. It was 2005, and he is in such a good position, but that was not to be. So Nalbandian was able to break Federer from this point onwards, and was eventually also able to win the tiebreak. So Nalbandian won this famous epic match against Federer. So this is the first example. Now let's go to another example here, and this is French Open 2011. You can see the scoreline. This is the first set, and Federer is having a set point here in the first set, and it's 5-2 up. And you can see that the serve is about to begin. Now, if you guys have seen this match, you will know that this is the point where Federer actually tried to hit a slice drop shot, a fancy drop shot, and it just landed a little bit wide from the lines, and it was a point given to Nadal, and the referee had to also the umpire had to come down to check the mark. And then after this point, Nadal was somehow able to hold his serve, and then he was also able to break Federer. and he won the set 7 games to 5, I think. So Federer was not able to win a single game in the set after having been in such a good position here, as you can see. So this is one of the other examples. Now let's move on to another example. Now here I am not sure if most of you guys have seen this match, but this is a pic from Montreal 2009, when Federer was in a very good form in that year. Federer had won the French Open. He had also won the Wimbledon, and then he was also playing well just before the US Open. So this tournament, you can see Federer in the third set is leading 5 games to 1. He's a double breakup, and most likely he seems to be winning the match pretty easily. But again, that didn't happen. Songa came back in this match, and he was eventually able to win this match in the tiebreak. So I think this is one another example. I mean, if the world number one is losing from 5-1 more than single time or more than twice, then it's definitely it points out to some concern of as to whether Federer is already thinking ahead, he's thinking that the match is over, or whether Songa suddenly starts playing well. For once or twice, we can believe that, but every time if such a situation happens, then definitely there's something, some concern, definitely in the minds of Federer on how to close this match. Now, if you see one another example, again it's Federer versus Nadal. This is from Hamburg 2008. Again, you can see the first set, it's 5-1, and Federer is having a set point. If you see the match, you can actually see that it's a very good serve here, and Nadal just somehow gets the ball back. Federer moves ahead, and then he needs to hit a drive volley, but he misses the drive volley, and then the downfall starts. So after this 5-1 40-30, suddenly Nadal gets back into the match. He I think he also took a timeout at 5-1, but still Federer had this set point, so no complaints there or no excuses there. And then after 5-1 40-30, Nadal was able to win this set and come back from even this position. So it definitely raises a mind, like Federer is was number one in 2008 as well at this point, and even in 2005. And the clips that I showed you, in all those clips, he was like one of the best in the best ranking, in the best form, but still he was not able to close a set from this winning position. So usually we don't see this happening with Nadal or Djokovic. So definitely this is a point that if we are to talk about the GOAT, even though it's a pretty subjective question, but this one point actually comes against Federer, because there are a lot of matches where Federer is actually looking for a victory and looks like he is going to complete the victory quite easily, but that didn't happen. And I don't know, somehow the other players were able to get the better of him even with this position, like 5-1 40-30. Now let's go to another example. This is a more recent one, so it's from 2012 ATP Finals. Now you can see it's again Federer is serving for the set. In the second set is 40-15 up. It's his own serve. He's serving well. It's a hard court, and then suddenly what happens? He misses a couple of points, and then he loses this set, and he loses the championship as well. And this is a championship match, mind you. So it's a final, and it's the European Championship. And Federer actually played a very good match this one, and it seemed like he would be able to somehow clinch the second set, and then the third set would be a very fantastic one, but that didn't happen. Djokovic was able to break from here, and because see, the point is, if you see all these matches, if you closely analyze, you can see that Federer uncharacteristically misses some of the easy balls here. So it's not like after this getting into this position, Federer is sort of playing too defensive and not going for his shots. It's not like that. Sometimes he plays defensive, sometimes he goes for his shots, but more often than not, if he goes for his shots, he's not going for a big winner. He's just trying to open up the court, but he misses the ball. So maybe he's tentative, maybe he's trying to not go for too much, or maybe sometimes he gets too defensive and he gives the opponent chance. Now players like Djokovic and Nadal will definitely take advantage of Federer's short ball or defensive ball, because Djokovic and Nadal are not afraid to go big even on match points. We all know what Djokovic has done a lot of times against Federer. He just goes for a winner and somehow he finds it. He has also done it against Nadal, Djokovic. And Nadal, on the other hand, it depends on the situation, but he is also not afraid to play aggressively on big points. So if you remember the match recently between Nadal and Goffin, you would know that even though Nadal was injured and Goffin was winning that set pretty easily, but Nadal kept fighting, and in the end he saved a few match points with clean winners. So I think this is one factor that definitely has impacted Federer's victory count as well as number of Grand Slams, because there have been some matches even in Grand Slams that we'll see in the upcoming slides where Federer is looking quite good and looking, the favorite to win the match, but that doesn't happen in the end. All right, so let's go to another example now. This is the Indian Wells example from 2018 against Del Potro. Now you can see this is also the championship match. It's the finals, and Federer actually did not play really well in this match, but he kept fighting. So it's more. This is one of those matches where Federer has shown his sort of the fighting ability overall, because Del Potro was playing really well in this whole tournament and Federer was somehow struggling for form, but still he kept going, and you can see he somehow got the second set in the tie break, and then in the third set he was able to break Del Potro, and here you can see it's 5-4 and 40-15. So Federer has two championship points, and if you see the match, Del Potro is able to prevent those two championship points, and then Federer again has another championship point. So there are 3 points come and go for Federer, and then in the tiebreak he just loses it completely. The same thing has happened against Djokovic. Now, even after this tiebreak, I think Federer played really poorly in this tiebreak after in this match after this game. And then when asked in the interview, even he was shocked and he said that he doesn't know what happened in the tiebreak. So I think the answer for all of us is quite evident here, that he is a little bit tentative or he panics in the tiebreak, to be honest, because this has happened a lot of times, especially against Djokovic. So here it is Del Potro, but in the upcoming slide, we'll see in the Wimbledon 2019, the same thing happened where Federer had match points, championship points, and then he was not able to make it. And then in the tie break, he just gave away too many free points to the opponent to win the match. And I think that has been definitely an issue for him over the years, over the whole career. So now the next example is, of course, the famous US Open 2011 example, where in this point it's like 40-15, Federer is serving. Now, I personally, I think on a very big point, Federer should always go to Djokovic's backhand, because you can see where Djokovic is standing. His court position is really good for the forehand. And if Federer goes wide, and even if he misses his favorite wide serve by a little bit of margin, then Djokovic is just ready to slap the ball, and it doesn't work always, but you saw that in this case it did work and it completely threw off Federer. So if Federer is going for the serve and he is having this sort of mindset that okay, maybe my serve will not be that good, and maybe Djokovic, if he wins by hitting a winner, or maybe if he wins the point, that's still fine. I can go ahead and win the next point. But after this match, I was really surprised to hear Federer say that Djokovic slaps a ball and suddenly things change. So I think he admitted, even though he would not have tried to do that, but he did admit it clearly that he was shocked by this shot of Djokovic, and he was surprised and he didn't know after that what to do, and he completely kept thinking what he needs to do, and he was completely in shock, and that is why the whole match came and went by, because it was like 5-3, and then the match was like the end score was 7-5, I think. So he was not able to win a single game after this two championship points just because of that forehand. And if he would have said in the press conference that that forehand didn't matter that much, okay, he hit a good shot there, and then I had a lot many chances after that as well. But it's not like that. If you see the press conference, he clearly says that after that shot, I mean, he was sort of not happy with that shot of Djokovic. He said that I have always been of the philosophy that you need to construct the point and you need to earn the point rather than just hitting the shot just like that. In the same way, Federer has also criticized the drop shot in his early days, that he doesn't think that's a good shot. That's sort of a disrespectful shot. But nowadays he uses that because, of course, it's also part of a strategy. So I think unknowingly Federer did admit that he was shocked by this shot of Djokovic, and this is also brings us to the point where maybe this is the mindset of Federer when he's trying to serve for the match or serve for the set, that even if a small thing goes wrong, uh, maybe that affects him more than the other players, someone like Djokovic or Nadal, because they are able to reset, hit the reset button quite quickly, and they are able to focus on the next point. But Federer, as he himself mentioned, that he does get impacted by these sort of points, and then it does change his tactics, and I think that is what is the issue. Maybe you can lose a point like this, and then if you can still focus on the other point, it's easier said than done, of course. But then Djokovic and Nadal have been able to do it, and Federer, I think, has struggled in this part, this specific aspect of his game, and this has actually caused him a lot of matches. So, I mean, if he would have taken this point here, he would have faced Nadal. Maybe who knows, he would have beaten Nadal in the U.S. Open finals and got another Grand Slam. But that's fine. Let's move ahead, and this is the final slide that I have. So this is from the Wimbledon 2019. Again, a heartbreaker for the Federer fans. I mean, you can see it's 40-15 here. Now, a couple of points I want to mention here, what I personally thought about this specific match. Now, in this match, I think Federer played very well. He was the better player throughout the match, but in the most important points, like in the tie breaks or maybe here as well, you can see Federer just failed to, play his best tennis, and that is what caused him the match. And that also has something to do with the mindset. Now it's also a bit of luck here. It's quite evident because if you have seen this match, you would know that Federer is going to serve down the tee here, but the ball will clip the top part of the net and just fall back instead of going, in the Djokovic's end of the court. So had it gone it that way, then it would have been another first serve for Federer. Had it not hit the net, it would have been an ace for sure because it was a really close to the tee, but that didn't happen. So luck was not there with Federer in this service. And then he got the second serve. He hit it on the forehand of Djokovic. Djokovic did not reply it very well. It was not a winner, or it was not a very tough reply. It was in the middle of the court, but it was still deep enough to cause some issues for Federer. Now, because Federer would have sort of premeditated in his mind that he need to use his forehand as much as possible. I think that was actually his enemy in this point, because if he would have tried a slice from the backhand or taken a usual backhand, maybe he would have still been in the point. But because he tried to move around his backhand and the ball was deep, it was closer to his legs, he could not move around in time, and then he lost his balance and he hit the ball wide with his forehand. So this is the first point how he lost, and then we all know the second point where I think maybe he could have gone with a chip and charge approach shot or just a slice approach shot, but he sort of went ahead with the approach shot not that good. So the approach shot was not close to the line, and Djokovic, whole credit to him, he was still able to hit a fantastic winner. He has done that time and again, even against Nadal in the Wimbledon 2018. So I think whole credit to Djokovic for sticking there as he always does. He always plays well and he sorts of enjoys these sort of situations. So you can see even in this match, even in this whole aspect of the game, you can see Federer's face. The pressure is quite evident on Federer's face. Even you can look at Mirka and you can look at all his camp. Everybody is so tense, so in so much of pressure, which is quite obvious because it's maybe Federer is towards the tail end of the career, and maybe that's one of the more important chances. And of course, he has always mentioned that Wimbledon is always the most important tournament for him. But now, having won it these many times, I think Federer needs to relax a little bit, because I think he's already the goat, so he can sort of play a little bit with the freedom that he wants to. And if you see Djokovic now, Djokovic is also chasing Federer's slam titles, and just like Nadal, but Nadal has recently won the French Open and got into that. But you can see Djokovic's camp as well as Djokovic. He doesn't look in so much pressure. His If you look at his body language, he seems calm. And even if you watch this match, when Federer loses this game, and at I think 10 all or 11 all, there is another break point that Federer has, and Djokovic somehow is able to volley. It's an awkward volley for Djokovic, but he's able to make that, and then he's like smiling towards the crowd, smiling, and just thinking like, yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal. So he looks like, in these situations specifically, Djokovic doesn't look like having any sort of pressure, and I think that helps him. But on the other hand, Federer, it's understandable that it's a do or die situation for him. Wimbledon is, he cannot play it every year, and maybe he just has like 1 or 2 more years or in his career. So I think it's quite understandable. But then at the same time, if it gets to him, then it's lethal, right? So you can see here that he lost these 2 points, and then he was not able to win this championship, which I think clearly he deserved to win this championship, but because of these few points, he was not able to do that. So there are a few more examples wherein maybe it's not championship point or match point, but definitely there are examples where this aspect has cost Federer the matches. If you see US Open 2010, Federer had two championship points on Djokovic's serve. Now, whole credit to Djokovic because Djokovic played really aggressive in both those points. But if you see the first point, Federer did have chances to be aggressive himself, but he did not choose to. He just kept giving the ball back to Djokovic and did not take his chance. And Djokovic kept playing aggressive and he won both those points. So I think that sort of attitude is good even for Federer because Federer has such an aggressive game, such an offensive game. So he should actually take the leaf out of Djokovic's book or Nadal's book because when they have championship points, they usually, go pretty aggressive and go for the kill. That is what Federer was also doing in his prime. So if you see the championship point of 2007 Wimbledon against Nadal, you can see that Federer was just going to hit the winner and just trying to finish the point, even in US Open 2008 against Murray. So there have been some points where Federer in his prime was doing exactly what he needs to do right now, but maybe the mindset has changed a little bit, and now he doesn't go for winners that much, and he plays a little bit restricted, a little bit tentative on the important points. Now you can see the next example, which is against Nadal in Rome. Here also Federer had a couple of championship points on Nadal's serve, and he had two forehands lined up. So here he did go for the winner, but he missed it, which I think it's fine because he played the right shot, he had the right ball. He had to hit a forehand. His forehand was working well. It just didn't work on those 2 points. So I think that's fine because that was just a one-off situation. But then I think because of these few matches, his mindset actually changed and he started playing a bit defensively, and which actually I think worked against him because against Nadal and Djokovic, he needed to continue playing aggressive on the big points. That would have actually helped him to win a lot more matches instead of trying to play defensive because Djokovic and Nadal both have such good baseline game that they usually don't make any error on such important points. So it's like you have to win the point, you have to win the match against them rather than waiting for them to make mistakes because they usually don't make any mistakes. So the same thing happened with Nadal in Australian Open 2009. In the first set, Federer was up a break, and then Nadal played a few good points, and then in the third set, Federer was love 40 up, and then also had a few points at 5 all, but he was not able to make that. And in the final set, it was complete pressure, and it was understandable because Federer was going for his 14th slam. But in the fifth set, Federer played really poorly. I mean, Nadal was just getting the ball back on the court, and Federer kept spraying the ball around and kept making unforced errors. Even though he was not going for a winner, still he kept making unforced errors, and it was like he completely gave away the fifth set under pressure. And I mean, even in his press conference where he shed some tears. It was quite evident that there was a lot of emotions, a lot of pressure on his mind, in his heart for that match. So that's understandable, and I think, but that is what caused his defeat as well. And then I think in the Australian Open 2011 as well, Federer was up a break in the second set. He was cruising at 5-2, and then suddenly he was not able to maintain his serve, and then he lost the match in straight sets. Even in 2019, Federer was up a break in the first set. He just had to win one more game for the first set, but again he gave away that lead back. Against Del Potro, he had multiple chances in 2009 US Open. He was 2 points away from the match in the fourth set. Even in the third set, I think he was a breakup. So maybe it was looking that he would finish the match in straight sets or maybe in four sets. But in the fifth set, he was completely outplayed by Del Potro because again of the mindset. In the fifth set, Del Potro was going for the winners with his forehand. So maybe Federer could have tried to pepper his backhand side and tried to be aggressive on his backhand so that Del Potro doesn't get to hit a forehand that much. The same strategy that Federer was able to apply against Gonzalez and the other players who had a lethal forehand. But this time he was not able to do so, and Del Potro kept hitting winners, and Federer was just hoping that somehow Del Potro would start missing again, but that didn't happen, and he was able to win the championship there. And then again, the French Open 2006, I think that was the best chance that Federer had against Nadal. He was winning, like he won the first set 6-1, and then even though he lost the second set 6-1, but in the third set he had like love 40 on Nadal's serve. He had a easy shot towards the net. He just had to hit in the open court, but then he missed. And once that game was lost, I think he completely lost his track, lost his form, and then he was playing a bit defensive tennis, tentative tennis, and even his body language dropped after the third set. So, if you see the match after the third set and the complete fourth set, Federer versus Nadal in the French Open of 2006, you can see Federer's body language drop, and he was even not looking up. He was always looking down and just thinking that he had a chance and he missed it. So I think that is again the same aspect because he had those many chances in the third set and he was not able to convert those break points. I think that again impacted him in the next set, and he was not able to win the set from there on, and he ended up losing the French Open title there. So I think these are few of the examples. Now I think the right approach is really difficult to suggest here because it depends on a lot of factors, also different opponents. For with some opponents you can play defensive so that they are prone to making errors, so maybe they give you the match. For some players, you need to hit the winners, otherwise they won't miss, like Djokovic and Nadal. So it depends on different players how they play, and also on the different courts. If it's a clay court, you can sort of play defensive and hope for an error from the opponent. But if it's a grass court, then definitely it's one shot and the point can be over. So the only suggestion, or maybe what we have observed by looking at all these matches throughout his career, maybe if you see the prime Federer of 2004 to 2007, one thing is really common that Federer was playing sort of fearless tennis back then. So whether he was set point down or set point up, he used to go for his shots, he used to go for his winners, and I think that is what the difference is between that time and now. Because once Federer got that injury in 2007, and when he came back in 2008, after that we have seen that his approach on big points, his approach on these match points, set points and break points has changed. Now he goes a little bit tentative, he plays a little bit defensively, he doesn't go for the kill always, because maybe he fears that even though he loses this set, or if he loses this point, then maybe it would highly impact the outcome of the match. Whereas earlier in his career, from 2004 to 2006, you can see him like playing really freely and even losing sets because of his sort of that approach, where he always tried to hit a winner and he sometimes missed it and he lost the set. But because he was so good, because he had so much confidence in his game and his fitness, he always knew that somehow he'll be able to win the match, because even though he loses one set or one game or it's one break of serve, it's not enough for him to lose. He'll definitely find a way to win. This was the level of his confidence, and that is why we say that he was in his peak from 2004 to 2007. And after that, he has still been able to play well, but this mental thing, this mental block, this mindset has definitely changed, and that has impacted him deeply, especially in important matches against Nadal and Djokovic. So this was the analysis, guys. Please do comment on this video and let me know what's your analysis. What do you think has been the main reason for Federer to lose these matches? Whether it is always the other players playing well, or whether it is something with the strategy, whatever it is, whatever you guys think, just let me know. And thanks for watching this video.